Thank you for tuning in to the Que Onda Show with your host, Dee Dee Blaze, here on this great radio station. The Que Onda Show is a variety show specializing in the entertainment world in music, movies, television, sports, and other specialties. For the next hour, Dee Dee will bring you some interesting interviews to entertain and educate. So, if you're listening to this program at home or at the office, your smartphone, or your car, let's begin with Dee Dee Blaze on the Que Onda Show.
This is Dee Dee Garcia Blaze with the Que Onda Show, a radio show program that shines a spotlight on Chicanos and Latinos and anybody who is willing to work with our community. And with me today, as my very first guest for tonight's show, is Ignacio Gomez. And Ignacio was born and raised in East Los Angeles, California. His father was an immigrant from Piedras Negras, Mexico, and his mother from Zacatecas. A graduate of Roosevelt High School, he then studied commercial art at Los Angeles Trade Technical College, and he worked at McDonnell Douglas to save money to enter Art Center College of Design, now in Pasadena. In 1966, Ignacio was drafted into the United States Army, and while in the Army, he painted 4 murals at Fort Ord, California, and 4 at Fort Hood in Texas. After an honorable discharge as a Specialist 5 from the U.S. Army in 1968, he then returned to Art Center. While in school, he entered a contest in which 2 of his paintings were accepted and printed in the New York Times, which led to him having representation in New York. Ignacio received his B.A. from Art Center College of Design in 1970. In 1976, he illustrated a Beatles album for Capitol Records. Ignacio's resume goes on and on and on. And one of the things that caught my eye with regard to this fine artist, muralist, designer, and sculptor was when I discovered that he is the artist who painted a pachuco for Zoot Suit, a playwright written by Luis Valdez of Edward Olmos. Welcome to the show, Ignacio.
Oh, thank you for having me, Dee Dee.
You're welcome. Tell us about your work. I want you to take my audience back to that time that you painted Eddie Olmos and that whole Zoot Suit era. And what was in your heart and in your soul when you were painting, given the history of the Zoot Suit riots?
Well, I was one of the first Chicano illustrators in L.A., if not the country. And I illustrated a cover for a New West magazine, and the people at the Mark Taper noticed it, and they were looking for a Chicano Mexican-American artist to illustrate their poster. And I got the call, and the first thing that the lady said, "Are you Ignacio Gomez? Are you Chicano Mexican-American?" I said, yes, yes, yes. And they asked me if I wanted to illustrate the new poster for the play Zoot Suit. And one of the things that they said was we could only afford $300 and could print it in 2 colors, yellow and black. And I said, no, it has to be in full color, even if I have to pay for it. And at that time, my wife was holding one of our kids, and her mouth dropped like, we're going to pay for it? That's how excited I got. Because the play was at the Mark Taper as an experimental play, and Jose Montoya did his version of the Pachuco, and they wanted to upgrade it to more of a graphic poster. But when I mentioned that it should be in full color, and I'll even pay for the printing, they said, let us get back to you. And in about an hour after that, she called and says, look, we got you more money. You'll have the copyright to whatever image you do, and we got a printer that will print it and give us a real good price. So that's what happened where the poster became a full-color poster. Mm-hmm. And they gave me the script, and then I just took it from there. And I was honored to be asked to do the poster.
Mm-hmm. And when you were reading the script, what were the feelings and the emotions that were circling inside of you, and what kind of thoughts and creative thoughts did it produce for you?
Well, I was aware of the Zoot Suit riots, and I was aware of a couple of my uncle's friends that were Zoot Suiters and what they went through. And then, just recently I found out that my older brother was in a theater, and the Marines and the Army came in looking for Zoot Suiters with flashlights. And because my brother happened to wear the regular pants, they didn't do anything to him, but his buddies were stripped. I didn't know about this till about a year ago before he passed away. He mentioned the story. Mm-hmm. But what resonated throughout the story was Eddie Olmos, the ghost figure, El Pachuco, bigger than life. So I saw him as bigger than life, bigger than the city hall. So when I came in with the sketches to show Luis Valdez and the people from the Mark Taper, I said, this is the one. This is the one that we should use. And they all agreed, and that's how I came up with the idea of the large Pachuco Zoot Suit, Eddie Olmos, towering over the city hall and the landscape of Los Angeles. And then a lot of people don't realize that the American flag is in the background, very subtle, so that the Pachuco stands out as a heroic, overpowering figure of Los Angeles.
Did you say that your uncle's friends were stripped all the way down naked?
My brother's friends. Yeah, my brother, they were in the theater, and they were wearing the Zoot Suit pants, and they were stripped. Yes. Wow.
I haven't heard that story. I knew about the riots and the police officers checking their hair and things of that nature, but
they ran into the theaters, the Navy and the Army, and they got those guys out, and they just started taking their clothes off and tearing the clothes off. And, it got so bad that the Zoot Suit riots started making national headlines that Franklin Delano Roosevelt told the people of L.A. and elsewhere to stop the beating of Mexican Americans that were dressed in that clothing, because the publicity and the propaganda that the Japanese were using that as propaganda, and so it affected the White House, and yet almost half a million Mexican American soldiers served in the Second World War, and approximately 39,000 Puerto Ricans served in the Second World War. And my two uncles who were born in Mexico, one served in the Philippines and one served in the European and Europe with General Patton as a tank driver. So he saw a lot of stuff. In fact, one of the concentration camps that they liberated, he never forgot that, and he had difficulty for the rest of his life because he couldn't believe that people could do that to other people. So then my two brothers served in the Korean War, and one was wounded on his 21st birthday, and then my other brothers served during peacetime, and then I was during the Vietnam era, and I was lucky that I was stationed in States. So I was one of the fortunate ones.
Now, I first met you personally at a play put on by Enrique Castillo and Bella Hernandez. It was on Memorial Day, and I was surprised when Enrique said that you were in the audience, and it was Veteranos, A Legacy of Valor. You were also commissioned to paint a bunch of veteranos, ¿que no?
Well, I designed the poster for the play, and so I submitted about 3 drawings, and I told Enrique and his partners that I think this is the one that we should go with, and they all agreed, and that's the one that was turned into a poster. So I'm very proud of that one, too.
I like that one because of the Aztec in the background.
Yes, so the Aztec was like a ghost figure, similar to the Pachuco and Zoot Suit, so it had a really good impact with the soldiers and the storyline. Also, I'd like to mention that the Zoot Suit image is now in the Smithsonian as part of their permanent collection, but right now it's on tour along with other artists' work, and the title is Our America, the Latino Presence in American Art, and it's traveling throughout the United States, and the Smithsonian's aim is to familiarize the Midwest and other areas of the Chicano Latino artwork that they're not even aware of. So they're trying to broaden the scope of awareness to the rest of the country. And as an emerging population, I think it's a good idea. We're with 57 million, and in the year 2050, it'll double to over 100 million. Mm-hmm. So, and by 2080, we'll be almost half the nation. And I think that's what's scaring a lot of Republicans.
Yeah, I believe so too. And it's interesting that you mentioned President Roosevelt and having to step up and say something with regard to the Zoot Suit riots. That we're kind of seeing that now today with Donald Trump's rhetoric, anti-immigrant, anti-Mexican rhetoric.
Well, I've been posting a lot of cartoons. I don't know if you've seen them, Dee, addressing that issue. And I mentioned that I don't get angry, I just draw. And so people kept posting that to tell me, keep on drawing, So I'm bringing up a lot of issues that I just don't care for, that he's bringing up and attacking one segment of people, But it's good that the other Latinos are stepping up.
I really like that Latino vote where it's covering Donald Trump's mouth. I'm going to have to share that on social media outlets.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. I also looked at the Smithsonian, the tour that you were talking about. It looks like right now it's traveling, and the next stop is Little Rock, Arkansas, between October 16, 2015 through January 17, 2016.
Wow, that's amazing. My son, a month after he graduated from the University of Boulder, he started working for Clinton, and we visited the Clinton Library. And then recently he was working for the Obama administration. He worked for the Obama administration for several years. Now he's working for an aircraft company that they've been after him. So he finally gave in, but he has wonderful stories and just amazing what he's done.
I also saw, and I kind of wanted to just highlight this part, and I do want to bring you back to the show to talk more about your sculpting, but just something that shot out at me when I was reading your bio on your website, and your website is IgnacioGomez.com, is that you actually designed the Cesar Chávez headstone.
Exactly. Paul Chavez, the son of César Chávez, and the family asked me to design the headstone. And I did a stylized march with the fields and the mountains in the back, and then the sun. And then there's 5 water fountains to symbolize the 5 martyrs that were killed during the strike and other times. One was a young Jewish girl, 18. She was in the picket line. Another one was an Arab. He was 21. And the other 3 were Mexicans, nationals. I think one was Mexican-American. And so that's we included that as part of the headstone. And then President Obama designated the headstone as a national monument, part of the national park. So I was honored about that too. So we were there for that 2013 when he went to César Chávez headstone and the foundation.
Kudos to the Obama administration for that. How can our audience locate you? How can fans of yours commission you for work? Where can they find you?
My email is ignacioGomezstudio@icloud.com. And then I could give my studio phone number is 818-243-2838. That's the studio number.
Very good. Well, thank you for appearing on the Que Onda show with me, and I can't wait to have you back to talk more about your extensive artwork. such as, sculpting and so forth. And thank you for making time for us.
Don't teach your children prejudice, and they won't learn it. A common sense message from your friends at CRN.
This is Didi Garcia Blaze with the Que Onda Show, a radio show program
Promoting cultural awareness, togetherness, and education through the arts. We're CRN.
that shines a spotlight on Chicanos and Latinos and anybody who's willing to work with our community. And with me today is a very special person, a lawyer by the name of Humberto Guizar. And Humberto's office handles civil rights cases against police agencies for excessive force and wrongful death. For those who are listening, I often get folks who inbox me, email me, wanting to know who a really good lawyer is in excessive police force cases. In fact, a good friend of mine in Idaho lost her husband. She's now a widow, where police officers under their custody killed her husband. And had I known about Humberto, I would have certainly sent my friend his direction. And thanks to Ruben Salazar, a shout out to him, he pointed me to Humberto. Welcome to the show, Humberto.
Well, hello, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Tell us about your experience. I get requests from people who have these types of cases, and I want them to feel good about you. Tell them about all the experience that's under your belt.
Well, the one thing I bring to the table that's different from most lawyers, that I have a unique personal background in that I wasn't spoon-fed into the lawyer profession. Like many people, I come from a struggling Latino family, but I was unfortunately involved, and I got caught up in the juvenile life that I lived, in the gang lifestyle, and I became a hardcore gang member and stuff. And I went through a lot of negativity in my life, criminal cases against me. I was looking at going to prison for many years when I was, juvenile, and fortunately I was able to flip that around in some miraculous way. And they figured out that I was smart and let me go to college and then go on to law school and become a lawyer. And as a lawyer, coming from the struggling background and knowing how police abuse people, how they mistreat people, how they lie about people, and naturally I fit right into the program of handling these type of cases. I've been doing it for 28 years now. Ever since I started doing it, I've had a passion for it. It's been a real tough time for me. At times I've struggled to get juries, to convince juries to believe in the person, and other times, I have won significant cases. The most important thing that I think I've learned as a lawyer and what I do is that I don't forget where I come from. So I humanize the person, which is a thing that a lot of lawyers don't do. A lot of lawyers that handle these cases, unfortunately, they get involved because they're lawyers and they do it for the money. And most lawyers, when people get into the legal profession, just because of the nature of it, it's a profession that kind of thrives on the need to make a lot of money. And I didn't make a lot of money at the beginning years of my practice, but I developed the craft and the desire and the passion to win these cases. But most importantly, I never lost focus about the most important thing, which is to humanize the people that I represent, which is what a lot of lawyers never do, is I really care about my clients, and I try to figure out a way to convince juries to look beyond the tattoo on the neck, the use of methamphetamines or whatever it is that people are going through, the domestic violence, whatever issues they're having. I try to make the jury see that these are people that feel, that suffer, and experience pain, that they're human beings. That's the number one thing that we need to do as lawyers that a lot of lawyers don't do. Especially, they get a case, and once it turns sour, or the first, negativity comes out, they kind of resign themselves and they don't fight as hard for the client. And I take it to a different level, is that, to me, representing an ex-gangster or a person that's an undocumented alien or somebody that's looked at by society as a very negative, element of our society, I thrive on it. I thrive on my goal is, to make that person, to make the jury feel that person and understand that they feel and they suffer. It's almost like the movie A Time to Kill, where the guy tells the jury that, close your eyes and look at this person not for what the color of the skin is, but as a human being. And that separates me the most from most lawyers. And I feel now that same as I did when I first started practicing, like, you know, I want to fight as hard as I can for justice. You know, and unfortunately over the years, I used to handle any case before, any case where somebody just got slapped and stuff. But because of, you know, the amount of work I do now, I usually just take, you know, like, you know, shooting cases or cases where someone's arm is broken. But there are occasions where just, even as a matter of pro bono, I'm willing to take on a case where I feel there's been a grave injustice that's happened. You know?
Well,
like there's one case like right now that I'm handling where a young kid with Asperger's was tased and manhandled, a 14-year-old kid by the sheriff's deputies. And there's not a lot of money involved, but I feel that I have to fight for this kid that had this you know, physical injury, and I want to do it just for the sake of, you know, of letting the cops know they can't get away with crap like that.
The reason why I wanted to bring you on is because, you know, even though you're in California, I know you could practice this kind of law throughout the Southwest or the nation. Here in Arizona, Humberto, I'm concerned about the culture in our state. Essentially, Judge Bolton in U.S. District Court ruled in favor of allowing law enforcement officers to ask anybody for their immigration status, and I just feel that, you know, that kind of feeds into a type of culture, you know, that could be dangerous, a slippery slope for police officers to abuse their authority in that gray area. There are a lot of folks that have told me about excessive force here in our state, and now I know that I can point them to your direction. How does a person, let me ask you this, if a person here in Arizona or in Texas or in California, if they're being pulled over, the police officers are using excessive force, can you give them advice on what they could do, what their rights are, how should they act?
Well, every scenario, of course, requires a different response. Number one rule of thumb, you know, even when I was a gang member, when I used to grow up in the hood in East LA, I learned at a very young age, you know, you don't tell a cop, you know, the F word. You don't stand up to him, spit on him, because that's going to automatically cause him to kick your ass. They may kick your ass anyway because they don't like you because of how you look. But don't stand up to them, don't fight them. Whatever they do, just go with it. And the most important thing is, which is very, very important, is how people, there's a lot of instances where stuff happens and people just let it go once they're like, oh, but you can't do that. In order to help the future person, you know, the young Juan that later on gets mistreated that by the same officer that pulled you over and mistreated you, is you need to report when they mistreat you. Even if it's not a beating or a slap around, or if they pull you over and call you names and are you you know, say things like, you know, what are you in a gang, or what about are you from, all this negative stuff. If they're mistreating you, they're not abiding by the law. You need to report them and have it documented in the police agency they work for, and that in the future, if that same cop ends up mistreating somebody, will be discoverable in evidence later on a case that we sue. Or let's say that same officer shoots somebody that runs away from them, and they say, oh, no, I was always a good cop. I never mistreated anybody, right? But if we have a record that they've been reported on and they've mistreated people in the past, then it helps us prove our case. So you just can't let these guys get away with it. That's really the thing, is you have to document any form of mistreatment, you know? That's really the bottom line. If you don't do that, the officers will continue to get away with it all the time.
I was told, and I did some research on you, that you've won several multi-million-dollar cases against, for instance, the LAPD. What's your winning strategy? What do you do to? Well,
again, I mean, I go back to what I mentioned earlier, is I humanize the person that I represent. And also, over the years, many times law firms that defend these cases, they stereotype against us Latinos that we're not capable of handling the legal work. So what I've done in my career, I couldn't even carry a normal sentence when I first went to college. I was a straight up gangster, okay? So but my vocabulary now has it's empowering. Now I could communicate with anybody in a courtroom or anywhere. You know, the issue is making sure that people that are in a situation like I used to be, that they're able to communicate, you know, and express what's happened to them. So the success really comes from, you know, doing these motions, the legal work, doing a real good professional job, and so that I get respect from the defense attorneys, so that by the time I go to trial, they're looking at it like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows the paperwork, understands his client, and they sometimes will settle instead of going all the way to a jury trial. And lately in my career, now that I'm more professional, I'm more mature, I just get results from the aggressive work that I do and presenting my case.
Sounds good. How can a person contact you when there is a wrongful death lawsuit against the police department or excessive force? How can they contact you?
I have an email address which is HERITO, Herito, at AOL.com. My office number is 323-725-1151. But I always answer all my emails. I'm very computer savvy. I'm on top of it all the time. So that's probably the best way to get in touch with me, through an email contact if they have a question. And if I can't help, I will always at least look to do what I can to send people in the right direction. You know, I like to help people. I really do.
Okay. Well, thank you for appearing on the show and educating Raza on their rights when it comes to police brutality and excessive force. And I hope to have you back on the show again.
Anytime. It's an honor to be able to speak to my compadres over there in Arizona. And my heart goes out to all the people that are mistreated by the cops over there. I follow it all the time about Arpaio, about how he mistreats Raza, and it boils my blood. And I wish I was living in Arizona, because I'd be on the front lines with a protest sign. And by the way, that's one thing that I do in my practice. I don't just go to court. When there's a big issue, I'm on the front lines of the protesters. So I don't believe in just doing rhetoric and, you know, and screaming about injustice and doing stuff like that. You know, I'll go and protest for people, even if it's not my own client, because I believe in, you know, that they need to see people like me, people that are professionals, that have a law degree, you know, because that's what they see. They don't see an ex-gang member. They see a professional. So when I go out there, you know, they let them know that we have Raza fighting for them.
You know, we've got our own dogfight here in Arizona. We're going through our own Pete Wilson era that you guys experienced back in the day, a couple of decades ago. And as a result of this anti-immigrant, anti-Mexican rhetoric, you best believe that I'll probably get more complaints from Raza and gente with regard to inappropriate misconduct by police, and I'm going to start sending them your way and seeing if it's something that, you know, we could try to stem and control with regard to the culture that Arpaio produces.
Thank you, Didi. I've dealt with that kind of negativity, and I know how to deal with it without inflaming people. And my goal is to make them feel their own stupidity of racism and you know, narrow-minded, myopic views of the world. Okay, my goal is to get people to open up their hearts and look at what's really happening and how people really live.
You got it. Well, thank you for appearing on the show, and we'll have you back again.
Okay. Thank you very much. Again, it's an honor, and anytime you need me, feel free to call me.
Promoting cultural awareness, togetherness, and education through the arts. We're CRN.
Hi, this is Didi Garcia Blaze with the Que Onda Show, a radio show program for Chicanos, Latinos, and anybody who's willing to work with our community. Today with me is Adam Sandoval, the founder of Astusa. Welcome to the show, Adam.
I'm glad to be here. It's my honor.
Good. Why don't you tell my audience about what you're doing about Astusa y todo?
Okay, first of all, once again, it's my honor to be a guest on your show, Didi. I have much love and respect for you, especially all the things that you do out there in the community. Speaking of the community, basically what I've done here is I've kind of sat back in my chair and I said, well, you know, we're reaching a new technological age here of social media, so what better way to reach our youth in terms of, you know, empowering them through information, awareness, education, and things like that. So what I did was I said, well, how can I come up with something that is going to be historically based and basically bring everybody towards our common ground? So what I did was I pretty much discovered that there were some urban terminologies that sat dormant for the last 30, 40 years. And Califaztlán is a urban term used through many Chicano organizations and well known through like such as Mecha and so forth. Mm-hmm. So basically what I did was I was really intrigued about the name because I always wanted to do something like I said, you know, for my raza and so forth. So as I did research within that urban term, it kind of like opened up a whole new world of history in terms of the Chicano movement. And that terminology was widely used by individuals through those days, such as César Chávez, Jorge González, Ramon Salazar, and so forth. So Califaztlán became very special to me. So basically what I did was I took that name, I reserved the, obviously the intellectual property, and started doing some research. And lo and behold, it's been, you know, embraced by the raza wholeheartedly because of our posts and things like that, which are primarily for, you know, promoting our culture and heritage.
Now, you've expanded, you're focusing on 7 states. Tell us about the 7 states, but Aztlán is a mind frame, a state of mind, isn't it? Why don't you tell us about the 7 states and what Aztlán means to you?
Sure. Well, basically, if you take a look back into history, obviously the tariffs that belong to what used to be Aztlán, you know, all the way down and through Mexico, are now a big part of the United States. And there's 7 southwestern states that lie over that grid. For instance, Arizona, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, and so forth. So these states right here, like I said, there's urban terms for these states. So basically, what better way to identify, you know, part of our past and promote our future in this type of a networking platform, which is basically taking those 7 southwestern urban terms and creating, as we are right now, creating these Facebook pages to kind of like, you know, share our culture and our heritage through our common ground of art, music, food, theater, and so forth. So those 7 southwestern states is a great way, I feel, that we can all kind of like embrace because of its historical values in terms of our efforts in the Chicano movement and all the way down in the roots of Aztlán.
So how long have you been doing this? When did you form this?
Well, it's been about 3 years. I've been, you know, pretty much the first couple years I've been primarily doing it by myself. And I started off on, you know, the Facebook platform, which is a very valuable tool to use in terms of reaching out to other Chicano brothers and sisters, especially our youth. Like I said, I've been doing it for like 2.5, 3 years by myself, but now I come to the point where, you know, I can't do this by myself. You know, this is not about just Adam Sandoval. This is about, you know, our people as a whole. So basically what I've done is I've noticed, first of all, I've noticed a lot of, you know, dynamic, amazing, passionate raza brothers and sisters gravitating towards, you know, the page of Califaztlán. So when I started making the other pages, like for, you know, Texas, Tejaztlán, and Colorado, Aztlán, and so forth, it's just been embraced. And so now I've come up with a team of powerful, or should I say empowering, powerful, dynamic individuals that share the same passion as I do that are overseeing these pages. So,
well, I want to give a shout out to Marie Escobar and Veronica, but Marie is, I think she's in charge of Arizona, and I'll tell you what, she's one dynamic lady. She's there fighting for the Chicano movement cause here as we continue to deal with these anti-immigrant, anti-Mexican laws, and I just want to give a shout out to her. Tell us about her, and tell us about the Texas leader of yours.
Well, like I said, back in the early years when I was just starting out like this, you know, and I was by myself, I noticed a lot of these individuals that come in there and they would start like posting and commenting and loving things and just showing that raza pride, you know. And then I noticed this young lady, you know, Maria Escobar, and I said, well, hey, this girl, you know, she's really out there. She's, you know, she's showing me a lot of love, you know. and a lot of support. So I'm like, I'm sitting back in my chair and I'm going, wow, this is what it's all about. So, one day I inboxed her and I said, hey, I really love and respect your support here. How would you like to join me in this journey in my quest to build a social media based on our historical, Tierra de Aztlán? And she just jumped for joy. She says, you know what, I've been looking at this as an opportunity for myself because I've always wanted to find my purpose for my passion. And she goes, this is like an open door for me. So right from the gate, we just kind of hit it off.
I love her. And what about Texas? Tell us about your Texas leader.
Okay, Texas, that's another, obviously a very big state, a lot of history, a lot of Chicano history there. Once again, like I said, there's a lot of Chicano brothers and sisters gravitating every day towards, these pages. And I'm like, wow. So what I look for is a lot of, I really don't even have to look because they pretty much stand out on their own. Mm-hmm. And Jesse from Texas is a very empowering man. He embraces just as Marty did. And basically, I did the same thing with him. I said, hey, how would you like to, just join me in this journey? And he, once again, he just jumped on and says, man, I've been looking for something like this for a long time. And so ever since we started collaborating and talking together, he's just been, just taken off in his community because he's already been pretty much reaching out in his community through, softball leagues and just community events. And he was already doing these things. So he just needed like a vehicle to climb aboard that can take this to a bigger, broader level. So when he met me, we just kind of like, knew it was the right thing to do to hook up. So ever since then, it's just been beautiful.
And just a little bit of background to my audience. I discovered Adam Sandoval through Mari Escobar, and basically myself and the Chicano Radio Network sponsored Enrique Castillo. We flew him into town, and the Chicano Radio Network bought tickets in order for us to secure the theater where we wanted to do a screening for Fanny Valiz, who was the director of Homebound. And Enrique was a critical component to bring into Arizona to spark pride, and I have such tremendous respect for him and what he's done as a writer, with his playwrights and so forth with veterans. And so that's how I knew you, Adam, is from that. And
yeah, because see, one of the things I've done is I've actually incorporated one of my own personal skills, because for the love of art, I said, well, what better way for me to kind of put my vision out there, than through graphic design and actually do it myself. So I've pretty much learned the art of, graphic design and refined it to a really fine point now, to where I put out some really high impact, wow factor, pictorials of our raza doing things, whether it be in the community or through history. But anyways, by doing this, Fanny Valiz, she noticed that, hey, wow, how would you guys, like to assist me in promoting this movie Homebound? And I was like, I would be more than honored to. So basically I went to work right away and created some very high impact promotional ads for her movie. She loved them, and that's what this is all about. It's all about supporting each other in our efforts to progress as a people. And so her movie, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I believe that is your gift, is graphic design. I noticed that right away, and I just hope that you continue to use that gift in graphic design.
Well, I'll tell you, I believe each and every one of our raza are gifted in one way or another. If we can actually create this global window, this one window into our past, present, and future, so everybody can share their wares per se, I feel that this would be a beautiful platform for all of us to just share each other's passions and dreams and skills and talents, no matter what it is. There's really nothing like that that's concentrated like that, that I know of, that you can just type in, and next thing you know, anything you want to do, from making tortillas to, purchasing some beautiful Chicano art or what have you, or just an opportunity to educate yourself. Mm-hmm. And, this has just been one wild, beautiful journey, and I just see no end near. I mean, it's blowing up. Everybody's just embracing it, and I'm just like, I'm really jazzed.
Okay, now tell us how people can find you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Do you have a website? Tell us how people can contact you.
Well, actually, what I've done, Didi, at this point is primarily using Facebook. Now, I dabbled a little in some other social media platforms, but primarily it's on Facebook. If anybody wants to find us, they can basically type in, Tejaxtlan space Raza, or, Ariaxtlan space Raza, or Califaxtlan space Raza, and you can find our pages there. And basically just friend our network, and we'll confirm you guys. So. Okay,
so tell us more about Astusa. It's the combination of Aztlan and USA, correct?
Absolutely. Well, as we already know, we live in the United States. There's a lot of history here of the Chicanos and Mexicanos that died for this country, during, the early wars. Totally. So, we are here, and we've sacrificed many, many, many thousands of raza just to be here. So, whether you like it or not, I mean, we're a part of the United States, and that's just the way it is. And, we're going to use that platform, and that, what I'm saying is the political platform, should I say, to get where we need to go through unity and self-empowerment. But Astusa now, where this comes in, is Aztlan USA, United States of Aztlan, is basically what we're doing is we're using the platform of preservation, which is embracing your roots of Aztlan, and progression, basically where you're at today and where you're headed for tomorrow, through the, obviously the political and terrorists that we live in now, which is the United States.
Good. Now, one final question, because we have to wrap it up.
Sure.
Is the Chicano movement dead, or are we, as Chicanos, the next generation of Chicanos, rebranding?
Here's this in a nutshell. The Chicano movement, boots on the ground, César Chávez, Corky Gonzalez, Ruben Salazar lives and burns with passion today. But you have to understand that those older days, the principles are the same, but we now are merging into a technological social media age. When you mesh the two, what do you have? You have the best way to reach out for your youth.
Need to get away for a while to rejuvenate? Then consider a vacation house in the beautiful East Valley of Mesa, Arizona, near a variety of water parks, rivers, and lakes, and other types of entertainment to wash the stress away. Just go to www.redmountainstay.com to get started on your vacation arrangements. Or call 480-436-9005 to reserve your stay. Also a great idea for Arizona residents wanting a vacay stay. Corporate housing is also available. Ask your representative for more details.
This is Didi Garcia Blaze at the Que Onda Show, a radio show program that shines a spotlight on Chicanos, Latinos, and anybody who's willing to work with our community. And with me today for the final segment of my show is Jesse Murphy. I try to end the show with a musical splash, and Jesse Murphy is a musician and an actor. Welcome to the show, Jesse. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dee. How you doing?
Good, good. Tell us about yourself. What's going on in the acting side of things before we get into the musical side?
Oh, wow. Well, we just got, I'm a part of a car club also, so I got an email from a director out of here in Phoenix, Arizona, and he asked us if we can bring in a couple of lowriders and a couple of some of my members that would come in and do some acting. And so we're actually going to be starring in a movie. It's called Genesis, The Fall of a Crime Empire. and I'm I guess I'm being kind of the crime boss's security guard, if you might say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be a pretty good movie. It's going to be featured here in Phoenix, and it should be on Netflix and so forth. I'm also has got some music coming out. That will be this music for the soundtrack of that movie coming up too. And I think I've sent you a link to probably one of my songs that I'm doing for the issues going on here in Arizona, as you know of.
Mhm. I don't hear too much about movies being made here in Arizona, so it's nice to know that they are doing that. The creatives are coming out.
Oh, yeah. We got quite a bit of those coming out. We got another one that we'll be featuring also in November, which will be they'll be doing some shooting in Mesa, Arizona.
So is your role like this tough guy, security guy, protecting the crime boss?
My role is to bring in a bunch of the cars, bring in some people as extras, and just by coincidence, the director asked me to be in a big part of the movie, so I all of a sudden became the security big man for the crime boss.
Well, I was glad that Arizona's Senator Catherine Miranda introduced us to each other, and I'm going to be playing your song at the end of this segment, and it's about SB 1070, the Papers, Please law, and what was going on inside of you when you were inspired to write the lyrical content.
I actually wrote that song, this had to have been probably 3 years now, or maybe less. What inspired me to write that song was all the issues that were going on with the SB 1070 as it was coming into law. Different sections of it was coming into law here in Arizona. I actually had a conversation with Sheriff Joe Arpaio during the time of all that, and I just got a lot of negative feelings from him during a conversation that me and him had, and so I decided to, instead of taking it in a negative way and kind of upsetting some people, I decided to write a song about it and get him on the political side about it. Very
good. How long did it take you to produce that song? I like the hook and everything. It's got a catchy beat, the beat and the rhythm. It's very catchy.
Yeah, thank you. The beat is actually produced by a gentleman out of New Mexico. We just borrowed the beat on it. The songs were written by myself and a good friend of mine, Giovanni Cienfuegos, and we just sat there one day and decided to go down to the Capitol. We sat up in front of the Capitol and we wrote the song as we were just having a good old time listening to the beat right in front of the Capitol. It took us probably about a month and a half or so to get it written, and then about 2.5 days to get it recorded and put out. I actually sent it to brewer's office, and as you know, it got rejected, got sent back to my home. So I hand delivered it to Arpaio during one of the SB 1070 protests that went on downtown. When they had the last, I think it was the 5-year anniversary of it, we had went over there and put a big rig trailer. We blocked off the Sally Port at 4th Street Jail, and we had a stage there, and we performed the song to the public. And Joe Arpaio walked up to me and was telling us to leave. You know, he didn't want us there, and we were just trying not to get people deported. We didn't want nobody getting into the jail and getting deported. And I said, we would leave if you take this off my hands. And he kept asking me what it was, and I told him, I said, put it in your car and listen to it. And he threw it actually on the floor, and one of his bodyguards that he had at that time picked it up, and I guess he must have handed it back to him. I don't know if they ever played it or not. If they did, maybe he liked it, or maybe now I'm part of, maybe he's one of my groupies now, I don't know.
I want my audience to know that that I had a wonderful time with you last week cruising to the Capitol, and I'm looking forward to working on getting the lowrider community more involved in voting. And your car, I mean, my son went with me. Your car and the hydraulics and everything was just, it was just, the experience was better than a scary carnival ride. How long have you been involved in the lowrider community here in Arizona?
We started our car club, which is Lowrider Styles Car Club. We started it back 22 years ago, and I was on and off with the car club due to the fact that I had got signed with a couple of record labels, so that took me away a little bit from the car club scene. But now that I've been doing the music on my own, I've been back in and full effect with the car clubs. I'm also the vice president of the car club and the vice president of the ACA, which is the Arizona Cruising Association. And so I'm getting very, very deeply involved into the car club scenes with all of the raza here in Arizona. So yeah, I definitely had a great time the other day cruising up to the Capitol. Hopefully we can get something going here in the near future where we can just throw a big old party, big old shebang in front of the Capitol to let them know that, you know, we're here and we're here to stay.
For sure. And also, I was really surprised that there were some people here in the Phoenix area who were essentially trying to make cruising a crime, and that is something that I am against. I mean, we restore vehicles. We should show a level of pride in restoring American cars, and there should be no crime for cruising. What's that all about?
That started way back in the late 80s, early 90s, when there was just a lot of controversial going on Central, and that kind of threw the cruising scene down. We're trying to bring it right back up again. We've been going out really, really hard out there, trying to get with the businesses and letting them know that, you know, we're here to try to help them grow their businesses on Central, you know, having us coming out and cruising Central nights, bringing what we can to support the South Phoenix. As you know, South Phoenix has gotten a little bit down, and their business is down over there on that side. And we actually got a lot of support from a lot of businesses now out there that are just welcoming us to come out and just park out there on the weekends and, you know, enjoy Central again. The signs have already came down. I don't believe they're coming back up. I guess the rule of the thumb is out there is, you know, you cruise 3 times and that's it, or you get pulled over by PD. That's one thing we're trying to get rid of. We just want to go out and have fun, have our families come out and enjoy, see what we used to do back in, you know, 80s, 90s and cruising, and just bring it back, you know, bring something back to this community and let them know that, you know, whatever happened then. We're here to just bring it back up again and make sure that everybody's safe and, you know, just to have a great old time like we used to.
Okay, well, I'm going to be right there with you to try to help you bring that policy down. And I know there's no doubt, no question in my mind that cruising boosts the economy to local business owners, and I'm pro-business. How does a person get a hold of you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
You can get a hold of me on Facebook on J. Hermosillo at Lowrider Styles, or you can also get a hold of me on my Twitter account, which is Lowrider Styles. Lowrider Styles. I'm on the scenes everywhere. You probably see my car all over the place. You see my car club all over the place.
Totally.
Yeah. So I mean, if they have any questions, they see us out driving around, they can feel free to stop any one of my members. Any one of my members are really knowledgeable in what's going on with the cruising situation and also the SB 1070 situations, and we're just here for the community. We just want the community to know that, you know, we're not what some people portray us to be. They portray us to be as gang members, as this and that, and we're just normal humans out there, you know, loving to build our cars and wanting our kids to be able to see what we used to do, and we're pretty much more of a family-oriented type of scene now. Back in the days, there was a lot of other different stuff going on where, there was issues with the younger generations, but now, we've all grown up, gone out of that, and we're not into that. We just want to just have a great old time.
Well, thank you so much for appearing on this show, and I look forward in working with you on cruising and getting the lowrider community, Chicanos and Raza, involved politically. Thank you again, Jesse.
Well, thank you, Dee, for having me on.
We're going to do a song that you never heard before. Southwest Empire. Production, baby.
Up in the Arizona streets, man. But does it gotta be like this, man? Up in the brewery and races to my peeps, damn. Why don't you go and leave my raza alone? Rumors out there on the calle say that you're afraid to lose your throne. Arpaio, what is he, the boss now? Big smile on his face while he's beating on my race. What is the state really trying to do? Just cause you're brown in this town, now the Bible's out there hunting for you. There is no need for racial genocide. Together we are equal, whether we're from here or from the other side. We promise you that there will be no fight, but take a stance and remember there were humans faced with Arizona. Ride on the Phoenix bird and let these politicians fear when our voice is heard. To all my gente in the fight against the genocide, together we can lead our future to a brighter side.
These politicians wanna see us go, like both sides on slaying at the throat, making them choke on every music note. Remember me when it's time to ride, alongside another million who ain't afraid to die. Seems like we'll never have peace. We're brewing up a storm in the streets. If you think my people gonna sink, think twice, we're on the brink, and in my eyes, war is all I see. That's the only remedy for people like you, wanting to reenact when Hitler murdered all the Jews. I know our pilots playing puppet strings, don't make me turn Bob Marley's song into reality, cause a catastrophe. How can you bring it back to racial ways? If that's the game you wanna play, then checkmate. I'll meet my fate, let's play. Come take a look into the eyes of millions just like me. How could you think we'd go quietly? Not every Mexican is cartel, mafia, both crossing over to our state, wanting to escape from our own kind, robbing us. Instead of aiding the Southwest lands, you're pouring salt on open wood, making the blood seep through. But you ain't ready for a revolution, a chain reaction of destruction, slowly you produce it. And in the end you'll see nobody wins, but I'm the last one left for everyone to see. So bring it back like me.
Why do you wanna see us gone? The shit that you're doing, girl, you know that's wrong. So now I gotta sing this song. Giovanni, Mr. J.Lo, gonna take her. Arizona ride on the Phoenix bird and let these politicians fear when our voice is heard. To all my gente in the fight against the genocide, together we can lead our future to a brighter side.
These politicians wanna see us go, like both sides on slaying at the throat, making them choke on every music note. Remember me when it's time to ride, alongside another million who ain't afraid to die.
Arizona ride on the Phoenix bird and let these politicians fear when our voice is heard. To all my gente in the fight against the genocide, together we can lead our future to a brighter side.
These politicians wanna see us go, like both sides on slaying at the throat, making them choke on every music note. Remember me when it's time to ride, alongside another million who ain't afraid to die.
You've been listening to The Que Onda Show with your host, Dee Dee Blaze. This program is the property of Star Sound Music Group, Hollywood, California, and is available for syndication by emailing your request to affiliates@queondashow.com or call 213-283-STAR. Educational institutions, please call to see if your school qualifies for free licensing on your campus radio station. This program was produced by Dee Dee Garcia Blaze. Executive producer is Frank Miranda. Imaging by David Tyler. Thank you for listening to The Que Onda Show. Don't forget to pencil The Que Onda Show in your calendar. The program airs Thursday nights at 7 p.m. and then again on Sundays at 5 p.m. here on CRN Live.